Helena, 2020 has been a year like no other, and the B&B Ireland product is so important to Irish tourism, and yet this year has been a write-off.
Absolutely, Owen. I mean, as you said, it's an international visitors product primarily. And as an organisation, we service the international tour operators as well as the DMCs. You know, business was looking good up to about mid-February. You know, we'd done about 60% of our turnover. We were on par with last year, despite the Brexit concerns. And, you know, we were happy at that stage because we thought there was a bit more in the market. We could get some small growth. And unfortunately, you know, our prediction now is that the business for B&B Ireland is going to be 97% down on 2019. And that obviously has a knock-on effect on our 750 members as well, who, you know, we know at least 50% of them didn't open this year for lots of reasons, though. And, you know, I suppose in the beginning, people were nervous. Yeah. The virus was there.
After all, it's family homes that are being opened
Absolutely.
to the visitor.
Yeah, absolutely. People were scared of bringing it into a family home, you know, and some homes might have had vulnerable, you know, people within the household. So some of them kind of decided, I'm going to wait and see how this goes. And then things did settle down a little bit. And by the time we got to the end of June, you know, when we could open, the international visitor side of it really had disappeared at that stage. And there wasn't any likelihood of it coming back. And, you know, it's transpired that it didn't come back. Yeah. So lots of the B&Bs actually stayed closed for the year for that very reason.
Yeah, and you mentioned 750 B&B members around the country, and it's an Island of Ireland association. What are the main markets that those B&Bs get business from?
Oh, the main market, the number one market, Owen, is the US, naturally. It's a big market for us, and that's then followed by France and Germany. They will be the three. I mean, 80% of our business would come from those three markets. Yeah. And then you'd have other, you know, Canada, you know, the Netherlands, and a small bit Italy and Spain. They're kind of our main markets. But yeah, the three big ones are a little bit from the UK, but some of that goes direct rather than through us as an organisation.
Yeah, and then it's so difficult to do, but looking forward to 2021, was there any respite in the budget? I suppose the big thing in a way is to get the international tourist coming back to the country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, I suppose it's all about survival at the moment. It's about the product surviving, and it's about obviously B&B Ireland surviving. We're kind of the intermediary between the product and the tour operator side of it mainly. We do a little bit of consumer work as well. So it is very much about survival. At the moment, we are a little bit concerned about 2021, and you know the B&Bs are closed, as a lot of other accommodation is as well. So you know what comes after that? What comes in January? We're now in peak booking period as well, Owen. You know, for the international market. There's some business on the books at the moment. We don't know whether that will transpire, you know, or not. Will we get a vaccine in the spring? Will there be confidence to travel? So they're all concerns that every B&B around the country has at the moment. And there's no answers. There is no answers.
And members, I imagine, are predominantly self-employed as opposed to companies. So was the budget a help, or are there measures in there? Are Fáilte Ireland able to apply any of their grants to your sector, or does the sort of nature of the self-employed aspect of B&Bs rule against them?
I mean, there is some good things in the budget and in the July stimulus package. Look at, I suppose, the VAT. B&Bs, if you know, some of them are registered for VAT, so that will certainly help the VAT coming down to 9%. There's the B&B Restart Grant, which wasn't available to the sector in the beginning, and you know we had to kind of fight for that, and that's there now. The adaptation grant from Fáilte Ireland, and they're certainly helping people, you know, get over these winter months where you know they're closed, they've had no income all year. We're still waiting to see what happens, you know, with the new CRSS that's come out, which will be revenue driven. The detail of that hasn't come out yet. We're hoping that it'll apply to B&Bs, but you know we've got to wait and see on that one. So yeah, look, there is some good stuff out there, but at the same time we have to remember that you know a large proportion of the sector actually has had no income this year. Some of them qualified, Owen, for the PUP, you know, the pandemic payment, but anybody over 66 didn't. And that was obviously a gripe within the sector as well, because we have a lot of B&B owners that even though they receive an estate pension, they also work hard at their business and rely on that income that comes out of their business. So that's something we took right up to the Minister for Finance, and unfortunately it is the way it is. So, but yes, I mean, there is some good stuff there. But no, I mean, it's a disastrous year for B&Bs.
Yeah, and I think B&Bs, just like the rest of the tourism industry, supports and subsidies and subventions are all very useful. But what we desperately need is the demand tap to be turned back on.
Absolutely, and look at, we all support the safety of all our citizens and the safety of visitors coming into the country. But there has to be a way around this. There has to be a way of getting international travel going again. Through tracing and testing, and the new system that the European markets are signing up to, and Ireland has also. I mean, that definitely needs to get up and running. That's the only way to get the international markets going again.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Because the domestic market just isn't strong enough or robust enough to support the tourism industry, and obviously B&Bs don't get a lot of the domestic market anyway.
I mean, there was a little bit of staycation business there for a few in key locations, but the majority of B&Bs didn't really get any of that business. And that's the way it is. And the staycation market is very important. It's very important to the tourism sector. But for us, we need the skies opened.
Absolutely, yeah. B&B Ireland as an association, you've done a very impressive sort of strategic deep dive, if you like, into operations and your future roadmap. You use the economic tourism consultant CHL, who are very well known and renowned. Tell us a little bit about that report and sort of the key findings.
Yeah, I mean, that report was done really for, and it looks at, I suppose, the relationship between B&B Ireland and the sector. And it does draw a map as to how the sector can survive. And also, B&B Ireland being, integrated into that sector in terms of providing that channel to market, particularly the tour operator market. And the report looks at that, and it does plot a survival plan for B&B Ireland, that we can survive as an organisation, and that the business that comes through us, the tour operator business that comes through us, through the channels that we have created, that will be there as the recovery starts, that it will be there to provide to the B&B sector. Primarily, the tour operator business comes through us as a wholesaler. It's very important that there's product there, that there's B&B product there at the end of this, because if there isn't, then there's a huge part of the Irish tourism experience that could disappear. And equally, the organisation needs to survive, because we are the organisation that kind of does the work for the tour operators. We're the service provider, and the product has to survive. It's a key part of Irish tourism. People come into Ireland for the scenery and the people. They're the two top things, as we know. And where do you find the people? You find them in an Irish home. It's a unique experience to Ireland. So that's really what the report is about. The report is very much about financially supporting the sector. Government financially supporting the sector through B&B Ireland, and we hope that it has gone out to government, it has gone into Fáilte Ireland, it's gone to the minister, and it's gone to the department. So we're hoping to, I suppose, have some success with the report, that there will be support there for the organisation and in turn the sector.
Yeah, and I thought it was a very impressive report, very evidence-based, a lot of good, solid, robust research in it. Just your 750 members, Helena, where are they based around the country? Because the great thing about the B&B product is that there's the regional dispersal of the product. I assume you're not in the urban hotspots necessarily, but you're spread all around the country.
Yeah, I mean, of the 750, I think we have 44 in Dublin, and everybody else is outside Dublin. The main cohort really would be along the Wild Atlantic Way. Our biggest county for members is Kerry. So it's very much, a rural product, and that in itself brings visitors into, I mean, there are parts along the Wild Atlantic Way where there are only B&Bs to stay. So that brings, money into those areas, and everybody, if you have 6 or 8 people staying in a B&B in rural Ireland, the restaurants, the shops, the pubs all benefit from that, because they spend their money locally. They go out for dinner, they go to the pub, they go to the Irish music. If that B&B was to disappear, that would have an economic, a detrimental economic effect on that particular part of Ireland, and we can't let that happen.
Great, Helena, thank you so much.